Welcome to the Plume and Page. Today's story is Rumpelstiltskin. There was once upon a time a poor miller who had a very beautiful daughter. It happened one day that he had an audience with the king, and in order to appear a person of some importance, he told his majesty that he had a daughter who could spin straw into gold. "Now that is certainly a talent worth having," said the king to the miller. "If your daughter is as clever as you say she is, bring her to my palace tomorrow morning." When the girl arrived the next day, the king led her into a room full of straw, gave her a spinning wheel and spindle, and said, "Set to work and spin all night till early dawn, and if by that time you have not spun the straw into gold, you shall die." Then he closed the door behind him and left her alone inside. So the poor miller's daughter sat down and did not know what in the world she was to do. She had not the least idea how to spin straw into gold, and at last became so miserable that she began to cry. Suddenly the door opened, and in stepped a tiny little man who said, "Good evening, Miss Miller Maid. Why are you crying so bitterly?" "Oh," answered the girl, "I have to spin straw into gold for the king, and I haven't a notion how it is done." "What will you give me if I spin it for you?" asked the mannikin. "My necklace," replied the girl. The little man took the necklace, sat himself down at the wheel, and whir, 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 the wheel went around 3 times, and the bobbin was full. Then he put on another, and whir, 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 the wheel went around 3 times, and the second too was full. And so it went on till the morning, when the whole room full of straw was spun away, and all the bobbins were full of gold. As soon as the sun rose, the king came, and when he perceived the gold, he was astonished and delighted. But seeing it only made him more greedy than ever for the precious metal. He had the miller's daughter put into another room full of straw, much bigger than the first, and bade her, if she valued her life, to spin it all into gold before the following morning. The girl did not know what to do and began to cry. Then the door opened as before, and the tiny little man appeared and said, "What will you give me if I spin the straw into gold for you?" "The ring from my finger," answered the girl. The mannikin took the ring, and whir, around went the spinning wheel again, and when the sun rose he had spun all the straw into glittering gold. The king was pleased beyond measure at the sight, but he was still not satisfied. And he had the miller's daughter brought into a yet bigger room full of straw. "You must spin all this away in the night," he said, "but if you succeed this time, you shall become my wife." "She's only a miller's daughter," he thought, "but I could not find a richer wife if I were to search the whole world over." When the girl was alone, the little man appeared for the 3rd time and said, "What will you give me if I spin the straw for you once again?" "I have nothing more to give you," answered the girl. "Then promise me when you are queen to give me your first child." "Who knows what may happen before that?" thought the miller's daughter. And, besides, she saw no other way out. So she promised the mannikin what he demanded, and he set to work once more and spun the straw into gold. When the king came in the morning and found everything as he had desired, he straightway made her his wife, and the miller's daughter became a queen. When a year had passed, a beautiful son was born to her. She had forgotten about the little man till one day he suddenly stepped into her room and said, "Now, give me what you promised." The queen was terribly upset, and offered the little man all the riches in her kingdom if he would only leave her the child. But the mannikin said, "No. A living creature is dearer to me than the finest treasures in the world." The poor queen began to cry and sob so bitterly that the little man was sorry for her, and said, "I'll give you 3 days to guess my name, and if you discover it in that time, you may keep your child." Then the queen pondered the whole night over all of the names she had ever heard, and sent a messenger to scour the land to pick up far and near any names he should come across. When the little man arrived on the following day, she began with Caspar, Melchior, Balthazar, and every other name she had ever heard, But at each one the mannikin called out, "That is not my name." The next day she sent to inquire the names of all the people in the neighborhood, and had a long list of the most uncommon and extraordinary ready to ask the little man. "Is your name, perhaps, Sheepshanks, Crookshanks, Spindleshanks?" But he always replied, "That is not my name." On the third day the messenger returned and announced, "I have not been able to find any new names, but as I came upon a high hill around the corner of the wood, where the foxes and hares bid each other good night, I saw a little house, and in front of the house burned a fire, and around the fire danced the most grotesque little man, hopping on one leg and crying, "Tomorrow I brew, today I bake, and then the child away I'll take, for little deems my royal dame that Rumpelstiltzkin is my name." Imagine the queen's delight at hearing the name, and when the little man stepped in shortly afterward and asked, "Now, my lady queen, what is my name?" She asked first, "Is your name Conrad?" "No." "Is your name Harry?" "No." "Is your name, perhaps, Rumpelstiltzkin?" "Some demon has told you that! Some demon has told you that!" screamed the little man, and in his rage he drove his right foot so far into the ground that his leg sank in up to his waist. Then in a passion he seized his left foot with both of his hands and tore himself in two.